Tell me your story. Tell me how you got involved in this situation.
I was at Grossmont Hospital for an injury that I had, for an infection in my leg, and they had to care for my wound care there. And after being there for so long, they thought that it would be better now to put me into a nursing facility, and they said they had a nice nursing facility for me to go to, and the women came in and tried to sell the place to tell you how nice it is and talked me into it. And so I went, and I had my own room, and they had a vacuum there that was still sucking everything out of my leg, and so it was pretty okay there, I guess, in the beginning, the first couple of days. And then it ended up not being okay. The wound care requires the nursing staff to come in there and, bring you your food and help you with things and bring you your medication. And I had different nurses, and I had a male nurse that was always bringing me medication that I felt that I didn't need. It's like, why am I taking this? I thought I just took this. And he was always getting real weird around me, and I could tell, even though I was sedated, and I don't know why, because I was there for physical therapy to learn how to walk again. And it was hard because it was very hard for me to walk. So I was wheelchair bound and basically incapacitated. They had to help me do my hair and all kinds of stuff because at the time I also had a bad shoulder replacement, and so I couldn't really use this arm at all either. So I was really in dire straits. And
What year was this? 2018?
2000 I know, I got short-term memory because I ended up getting toxic metabolic toxic encephalopathy.
What was that from?
From the blood, from the poison in my legs that had gone up to my brain.
Okay.
It's called toxic metabolic encephalopathy. And so I got that, and it made me really sick, and I mean really sick.
Did you get that in the hospital or at the nursing care facility?
I got it from the doctor that did the surgery on my leg,
Okay.
and he didn't continue with fixing it, and that's why I ended up in the hospital, because I was so sick. I mean, I was really sick.
Yeah.
And it was so bad. I don't like to even think about that because it took, like I got short-term memory and not being able to remember things, and it was just really bad. And I had a male nurse that when I would go outside and I would try to get out of my room, I would go down the hallway in my wheelchair, and it was exactly 8 o'clock at night, and that's when they let you out. The people start lining up in their wheelchairs about 10 minutes to 8, and then he would come down and open the door, usually him or someone else, and help push the people outside to have a cigarette break. And I went out, and as I went out, I sat there, and he kept walking around me and calling me pretty girl and sniffing all around me and all this. And
This was at the facility, not at the hospital anymore.
Right.
This is back at the facility. Okay.
Yes. And while I was there and sitting outside, and I finished having probably half a cigarette, if that, I basically went out there just to get out of my room. And then he was sniffing all around me and being strange. I wasn't so ill that I didn't know that that was strange. And he says, "Oh, pretty girl, I get to give you a shower. Ooh, I get to give you a shower." And I knew that that wasn't right. because I had already taken a shower. He was so creepy that I gave myself showers on my own, going past the nurse's station in my own gown, and never took nothing off. I soaped up and cleaned up with my own gown on.
That's because he was giving you the creeps?
Yes, that is correct. I thought, no, nobody's taking anything off of me. No, no, not going to happen. So I would just go in there and turn the water on and soap up, shampoo half, do whatever I could with one arm, and then trying to hold on because I couldn't stand on this leg. And then I would try to dry off, leave the shower wet, and leave a big trail of water and go into my room. And then I got yelled at for that. So he had found out that I had, after having the cigarette outside, I went back in, and it was exactly, like I said, it was 10 minutes to 8 that he was letting people out. So by 8 o'clock, I thought, well, that's weird, everybody's going out there early. And so I always came in, I always looked up at the clock. I always had that habit of looking at the clock, you know. So I looked at the clock, and it was about 3 minutes after 8. And then he was letting people in, and he comes into my room, and he told me that I was a very naughty, very bad girl. And I never talked. I didn't talk because there was nobody there to talk to, because God bless our seniors and our moms and dads and the state of minds that they're in and everything, that they're not all fully together, and they have the Alzheimer's and things like that, and they can't really carry on a conversation with you.
Yeah.
And so being by yourself, and there wasn't anybody to talk to, so I really didn't talk. And he came in, and he was upset because I'd showered myself off. And he came around and told me I was a naughty girl, very, very bad girl, because I did that. And I just remember looking at him, and he had ripped my blanket right off of me, and then right into certain areas of me, and started touching me in places that he should never have done. And I couldn't defend him off because I had a bad arm and a messed up leg. And he sodomized me with a toothbrush. What's it called? Oral sex, fingers, everything all over me, and so on my breasts, on my face and neck and everything.
Were you yelling out? Were you saying anything?
I tried to.
What did he do?
He put one hand over my face to shut up and threaten me. And he said he knew where I live, and that I had a daughter, and that I would be sorry. And then when I started to say something, I got backhanded in the face real hard. And that really hurt. That hurt so bad it felt like tire tracks on my face. And I just remember, because I was kind of out of it, but I remember the feeling of that. I just always reminded me of like tire treads on my face. He hit me so hard. And then right then and there, when he heard another nurse come in, and she was really nice to me. She used to bring me in sandwiches at night, and she'd sneak one out because the shift was turning. So she thought, oh, I'll go in there and bring Lisa a sandwich now, you know. And so when she was coming into my room, he saw that, and he hurried up and he threw the blanket over her, but was standing in back, and she stood in front, and she says, hello, Lisa. She says, what's wrong? Your face is watered. And he was behind her, and he was tapping on something like this, like paper, or I don't know. He was tapping on something, and when she went to hand me my sandwich, instead of just taking the sandwich, I took her hand, like, don't leave me, because I was afraid. I was so afraid. And she says, what's wrong? Your face is watered, you're crying. And he was just glaring down, because he was like 6 foot something, and he was just nodding his head. And so I said nothing. And then she left the room, and then after she left the room, he came back in and drew the curtains, and he asked me, did you? But he used the word did ya, and I was thinking he was asking me, did I say anything to her? But he was right there, and he knows I didn't. And I said, no. And then he got back in and did round 2 with me. And then he said it again to me. He goes, did ya? Did ya? And then I got backhanded again, bam, in the face, where it was really, really, really hard. And I mean hard. And then by that time I was really crying, and I wanted to, when he did that, and I believed that I did let out some kind of a scream, but then he had his hand over my face. And then when he was giving me oral sex, this hand was good, my face was there, and I'm just telling you, you want to know, and I'm just telling you. So I reached my hand over and I clawed the back of his neck, and I clawed it real hard. Like that, and he looked like something out of American Horror Story. He just went like this. I don't put that on there, but anyways, yeah, he looked horrible. He was really upset. And then I thought, I'm not calling the nurses station. I'm not going to do it. So I used my cell phone and I called the Mesa Police Department and I told them what happened.
Right then, that night?
Oh, right then and there. The minute he was cleared out of my room, I called him and I said, I need help. I'm in room 5. Please send somebody. I'm not one of these people that are over here. I'm not a senior citizen, even though I guess I was, but I said, I don't have Alzheimer's. There's nothing wrong with my brain. I'm here for physical therapy to learn how to walk. I'm not making this up. Please send somebody here. Send a woman. I kept saying, send a woman, yeah. And then he asked what happened, and I told him. And then she says, oh, okay. And then we hung up the phone. And then when that happened, that was the first time. But then I told you he came in the second time. And then when I called her back, and she goes, you just called. And I go, I know. But she goes, you mean he came back again and did it? And I said, yes. And she goes, well, they're there now. And then the police were there now. And then they came in and they saw me and they took me out of there and they took me to the rape center to be tested. And they found all kinds of everything, everywhere, all over, everywhere, every part and orifice of me. And they were so surprised that he had that much time at that hour of the night. It wasn't like it was 3 o'clock in the morning when more than half the people go home, because most of all the people, 70 or 80% are asleep. There's only a few people that are up at night, He didn't wait that time of night to do it, which would have been probably creepy hours to do it, but if you're going to do it, I mean, at least think like a creep, and you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, he didn't care.
He didn't care. He didn't care to think about, well, if I'm going to do this, I better do it when half the shift is gone, and it's like instantaneous. He didn't care. 8 o'clock at night, people are still up and down the hallway, and it was just like, hey, how you doing there, Mr. Jones? And just doing their thing, and it was like no big deal to him. He had no control. He had no control over what he was doing, and that's what he did. And
he did have control. He just refused to control himself.
Yeah, and he did what he wanted to do, and it was wrong. And he threatened my life, that I would be murdered and killed, and so would my daughter if I said anything. But when the police got there and they took me and they checked me thoroughly, and then COVID hit and I finally got my results, it came back and they came and arrested him. And yeah, and he even said, when one of the news places went to his house for an interview, he said, no comment, no comment. And there is a lot of comments because he is sick, he did horrific acts, and what really aggravates me the most is the fact that he's been a job hopper, hopping around, from what I've heard, that been to different nursing homes, and in these different nursing homes, given these women baths, in their beds and stuff like that, and doing same things, I'm imagining, and then them complaining about it, and then them saying, well, he was probably a little too hard on you, Mrs. Smith, or so on. And so then after a few of those complaints, they had to let him go. And so he job hopped to another place, filled an application, and because he was good at doing his job, I wouldn't say good at doing his job, I'm gonna take that, he knows his job, he knows what's required, just like a baker knows how to make cookies. You don't lose that recipe. You know how to play the piano, you never forget that. You never forget how to ride a bike. So he ended up getting caught, but if They sent a form into the state of California, four different complaints on him for his behavior, and it was just put in a stack of paper, and it was just left there. And had they have ever taken one of those forms serious about him, it wouldn't have gone on for years. Out of 7 women, 2 or 3 are dead, one's in a coma, one can't speak, and then there's me. And I didn't go in there for Alzheimer's or dementia or anything like that. I went in there for wound care, physical therapy, to learn how to walk. That's the only reason I was there. I didn't talk to anybody because basically, God bless their soul, they can't really carry conversations with you.
And because you're able to speak is the reason he got caught.
Yes.
Because otherwise he would have kept going.
Yes, and he did. Yeah, and I'm sure before me, like they said, he had been kept going because that was his job, his career, and that's what he did for a living. So he hurt me. He hurt a lot of other women, now women that are gone, and mothers and fathers and people that they don't have the chance to come back and say, hey, this is what happened to me, because they couldn't speak for themselves. And now, what if that was my mom or your mom? How and she can't speak. How is she supposed to tell me that these things happened to her? How can she tell me what happened to her when she can't speak? She can just know those memories and take them with her to heaven. She don't have nobody to tell. So what kind of a person does that? He's a monster. And now he has to be put away for this and repent and for his horrific acts that he did to people. But see, I'm a fighter, and I'm going to fight, and I'm going to be an advocate. I'm going to fight for this because new rules have to be made. This can't happen anymore. It just can't. It's not fair. My father taught me how to ride a bicycle, okay? And when I fell down, my mother was there to put a Band-Aid on me and clean me up. I want to say that. Now, do you think if I put them in a nursing home that I would trust these people and pay them money to take care of them without knowing that they're being sexually abused? That is wrong. Something is wrong. And for the state of California to not check him out, and for San Diego County to let him just slip through the work. Oh, I know how to make cupcakes. Here they are. Oh my God, they're delicious and beautiful. Oh my God, you're like the cake monster on TV. We'll hire you. Without getting in there and investigating, because what he did was wrong. He's in prison, but you know what? So am I, because I have to live with it every day, every single day. Every day of my life, I think about it. It doesn't go away. Just because he's going away doesn't mean I'm going away. There isn't a day or a time where, honestly, at least 3 times a day, I just fade off and I start thinking about it, and it's not right, because I feel like I'm in prison myself for what he did, and what he did was really bad, and something more needs to be done about it, and I've decided to dedicate and be an advocate for mine, which is called nursinghomealone@gmail.com. So people can write me and tell me situations, and I will investigate. I will go out. I will do whatever I have to do. I have several attorneys that are going to help me do this so that we can make better laws, because he should not have been allowed to have gone this far. There's nothing I can do about it.
No?
Mm-mm.
It's done.
All the money in the world, all the happy things and stuff like that, it's nothing. But you know what? He'll never be able to have another Christmas. He won't have grandchildren. He'll never be able to run on the beach. He'll never have Christmas. He'll never have birthday parties. He'll never get to hug his mother and touch her skin. The only time he'll ever get out of there is in a pine box. He needed help. He was sick. He's still sick.
Is this what you're going to read Wednesday to court at the sentencing?
Some of it.
Do you want to read it to us?
Okay. I don't know how to address you other than being a monster. to so many vulnerable people who had no voice. So on their behalf, as well as a victim of yours, now surviving in what you did to me, until you be going away, never having Christmas, children, running on the beach, birthday parties, or Thanksgiving. You will be supervised now, and hopefully can search your soul, repent for your sins, and pray for mercy from God. You'll have that choice, but the women you sexually abused, hurt, raped, sodomized, and conducted horrific acts had no voice and had no means for help. I blame the state of California, the city of San Diego, and the companies that hired you. If the state of California would have done their part in the 4 times you were reported, we would not be here today. May you go into your new dwelling and ask our Lord for forgiveness. And last, I'm going to be an advocate for a fight for stronger laws, awareness, and protection for our loved ones. I will be seen and I will be heard. My name is Lisa Huntsman, and I do approve this. My Gmail is nursinghomealone@gmail.com.
Did you move to Las Vegas to
To get away from
here?
this, yes, because of threats from his friends or family or
Really?
cult or whatever.
People were threatening you?
People that he knew, yeah.
What were they saying? What would they say?
I really don't want to repeat them,
Okay.
but not good because, you know.
And it made you move away from your family
Yes.
because
Yes,
you
it
were
did.
afraid.
Yes.
Once he
I'm
goes-
always afraid.
I'm sorry.
I still have nightmares. They don't go away. They don't go away. They just don't go away. I see somebody for them, but it doesn't help, and they don't go away.
And
He's on my mind all the time, and I
Yeah.
really hate it.
Yeah.
I really, really hate it.
Yeah.
So nobody knows what it's like to walk in my shoes, you know. I don't like to be alone. I'm scared to be alone, even though I know he's put away. It doesn't feel like he's put away.
Will you move back now that he's in prison?
No. San Diego's my home, but, you know, you can start over, make something fresh.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like what I'm doing, you know.
Yeah.
I need a fresh start, and
When did you move?
January.
This
I
past
moved-
January.
Yeah, I moved in January, and I was happy I made that decision to go because I thought it would be a fresh start, but I didn't know it would be Nightmare City. And
That you can't get rid of.
no, I can't, and I can't. I just can't, and I wish that I could, and I pray every day for the Lord to take it away, and it's just not always going away.
Yeah.
Certain things, I'll be in a really good mood, then all of a sudden, boom, it'll hit me. Or a man will come up and talk to me out of nowhere and say something nice about me, and then I get really offended, like, oh my God, you know, what have I done to encourage this? And I have to look over what I have on or something, you know, what did I do? Why did you say that to me, you know? I don't take compliments very well. I just don't. It's just been a lot that I've been through,
Yes.
and
No, that's life. I mean, life-changing. Life-changing.
and it hurts and it's painful, and I wouldn't wish it on anybody. And God only knows the people that he's done this to, that couldn't speak, that had to lay there and take it. And I think, God, you know, what if my mom was laying in there and he was doing and, you know, putting things in her mouth, and sorry, but you know what I'm saying.
Terrible.
And she was in that state of mind, incapacitated. How horrible. He was doing that to people. And our moms were not able to get up and say anything because their minds were gone. When they reach a certain point in life and they get to that point, you think back, gosh, that was my mom.
What do you think?
I'm a mother and I have kids. They wouldn't have wanted that to happen to me, but it did, and it hurts them really bad.
Yeah.
I have boys, and boys get really mad when somebody hurts their mother. They do.
Yeah, it's affected them for sure.
Yes, it has.
What do you think it's going to be like Wednesday? You're going to be in court. You'll
Yes,
have
I
to see
am.
him.
I know. Well, I have what I want to read him, and I'm just going to be strong. And I'm going to do it on. I'm doing it on behalf of the women that did not get a chance to have a voice. I'm going to be their voice. I'm going to be an advocate for nursinghomealone@gmail.com, and I am going to write and call. I'm going after the state of California because they allowed this to happen. They allowed it. Like him, with his background, he couldn't go work in a preschool. These CHPs, they're not allowed to go work if they had any kind of a molestation or sodomizing somebody and be pulling people over. That doesn't happen. So why did this happen when the women are so vulnerable that he had all access to everything on them? This shouldn't happen. Why would this happen? People are overlooking things. It's called laziness. So, and it happens with a lot of jobs and things like that. I mean, you never know. He could have been a nice guy. I mean, I'm going to say this. Jeffrey Dahmer was a nice guy too, and good looking and was a model. Look how he turned out. He was cool and all that until he ate the neighborhood kids. Then everybody had a different opinion of him.
Are you going to sue the state? Just for my story, it's fine with me. I think you should sue the pants off of them. Are you going to sue the state?
Yes, I am.
The Department of Public Health?
Yes.
And then you're going to sue this facility in La Mesa?
It's taken care of.
Yeah, they've already been sued.
Well, yes, but...
By you?
My attorneys took care of that.
Okay, so it's already in the courts?
Yes, with the facility, yes. Okay. That's been done, but I'm going after the state of California and the city of San Diego.
What's their role in it?
Well, when you go and apply for a job like that, you have to fill out a live scan where you give fingerprints and they do background checks. And it usually takes about 2 to 3 days, could take up to 10. So, and then when they get the report, come back to the office and they go, oh, this is kind of dirty. Maybe this is not the job for you, you know? And then they shouldn't have hired him. So I don't know how it came back, if it just came back and the girl making minimum wage just got it, filed it, he got the job.
In La Mesa, so he puts his information through with the city. La Mesa contacts the city to make sure he's clear, and then he gets hired or not?
Yes, but let me tell you this. I too am a caregiver, and I can go into my scrubs today with you in there, and I can walk in and go, hi, are you hiring? They go, we're always hiring. And I can sit down and tell them, and I've worked for 6 years doing this. They go, oh, good for you, Miss Huntsman. And they give you a test on a piece of paper. What do you do with this and all about this? And how do you know how to use a gait belt, a Hoyer lift, and so on and so on? Oh, yes, I do. Oh, God, that's great. And they go, what are your hours? When are you available to work? Oh, anytime. I can work anytime you need me. And they look over and they go, she's perfect. She passed the written test. She got 100 on it. And then the boss will come out and she'll meet me and she'll say, you know, I like you. You're exactly what we're looking for to represent us. What are you doing later? And I go, I'm open. Well, you know what? Here's a form here. Fill this out and fill this out. We're going to go ahead and start you with Mrs. AKA Jones. And they'll send me to her house. Now, they don't know if I'm a serial killer, background pervert, or they don't know who I am. And I'll start working for her. They don't know anything about me. And that's how I've gotten jobs. But I mean, I have no nasty background.
Yeah, but
you know?
Somebody like him, he's just
well, if you know everything, you go in there, you sweet talk, you know, and they hire you. They figure, well, he's cool, he knows everything, he's likable, he brought in coffee, and, you know, he knows how to, you know, smooth talking guy. And so he got the job, and he kept his hours up, he worked hard, did his job, he had a few, you know, perks on the side, if you know what I mean, and he did his thing. And then by the time the paperwork came back, they didn't even bother, I guess, to look at it to see it was dirty and what it was written up, and they just put it in his file, and he continued to keep on working until he got complaints, and then he was let from one place to the other and job hopped around. Why didn't somebody stop and read it and say, hey, because you're not supposed to legally go into somebody's home and start working for them with the live scan until you get that paper back. And that year, San Diego had a policy that said no one's allowed to go inside of somebody's home like that unless we do a background check on him. Well, how did he get around that? San Diego messed up too. Hello. And when they were sent in to the state of California, the 4 counts of him, what he did, nobody did anything about that. How many women passed on and went on and didn't get their chance to say anything of the 7 women that we know that he was involved with? And how many women before that, if he's been doing this all these years? There's over 70,000 or something in the state of California that are molested and touched and things like that. I'm doing my research. I have a couple of good lawyers, and I'm going to pursue this. There has to be change on this because this can't continue. This just can't continue.
And